Welcome to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Delighted to say we have another very special guest with us today. It's former Ross County midfielder Paul Lawson, here to discuss all things Staggies. Paul, of course, the big news last night was that Derek Adams had resigned as Ross County manager after just 79 days in charge. What's your initial reaction to the news?
It's probably mixed, to be honest. Surprised because it is, it's such a short period. But I think after his last couple of interviews, press conferences, whatever you want to say, certainly after the Motherwell game, he looked dejected, and you could sense something was coming.
Yeah, this was Derek's third spell at Ross County. He knows the club very well. Why do you think it didn't work out? What do you think went wrong for this, 79 days in, for a man so experienced to just leave the club that he says that he loves?
I really don't know. People say you should never go back in the first place, but to go back a second and third time, I think he maybe felt he could do something, get the club out of the position it was in. But I mean, he said himself he maybe underestimated the job that was in hand, and I think for me it's so soon after the transfer window, when he's brought in 7 players. That's not going to change overnight. You need a few more weeks, few more games to bed these things in. So maybe there's a deeper issue. I don't know, but it is. They've struggled most of the season, and like I say, I think he maybe felt he could go in and change something, but it hasn't quite happened.
Yeah, Derek's been in the headlines pretty much the entire time he's been in the job, for 2 incidents really. The first one being that he criticised the quality of Scottish football and said that his League 2 Morecambe side were 1,000 times better than the team he took over at Ross County. What were your thoughts on those couple of spicy post-match interviews that Derek provided when he was in charge in the Highlands?
I think initially it was probably frustration. I don't think he really meant what he said, to be perfectly honest. I think we can all agree that's certainly not the case. We've played teams from down south, done it in my time. It's a slightly different style of game, whatever. But to quote that, I think he was being a bit harsh. And I think he came out and apologised, but I think he was obviously trying to get a point across of sorts, but it came out the wrong way. And a lot of people have reacted to it, and certainly with the latest news, it's sort of come back to haunt him a little bit.
Yeah, you played under Derek a couple of times, I believe. What was he like as a manager? Because I'm sure everyone just now is taking those comments and then comparing that with maybe what's been said before, and how this current group of players, how they would have reacted to it. What were your memories of Derek Adams as a manager? He's been quite critical of players in the press. Was he like that with you guys in the dressing room back then as well?
Yeah, he could be. We had quite a successful time, so I can look back on fond memories at the football club for sure. Certainly had moments where we disagreed on certain things. He was very driven in where he wanted to get to, and I think the first spell, second spell, was very successful. With a bit of success in his first spell as well. So, like I say, I think he felt coming back a third time he could replicate some of that. It wasn't to be the case. He's outspoken. He believes in his methods, and he's had success down in England as well. So there's you can't argue with that to a point. But I think sometimes when you're coming out and criticising the players in public, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, you say that Derek is an outspoken manager. Do you think modern day footballers aren't as receptive to that as perhaps what you and your teammates might have been 10 or so years ago? Do you think that's part of the reason as to why performance has tailed off towards the end?
I don't like to say that. I hate that. The modern, because we probably said it in our time. But yeah, we probably reacted to a dressing down, so to speak, differently than maybe players do. But I think any time you come out and criticise the players in public, I don't think's great for you. I don't think the players certainly react in the best manner, and it showed. But like I say, I mean, he had to come in and make changes, and let's say made the signings in January. So it is quite a strange move to resign so soon. But he maybe felt that he was going nowhere and time to go.
Well, if you look forward now, Don Cowie, an interim charge, a man that knows Ross County very, very well, been there hundreds of appearances as a player, of course, been assistant to both Malky Mackay and recently Derek Adams. What do you expect he will bring?
Experience, not on the managerial side, but as a player, he had a great career, and again, another one who knows the club very well, knows the people around the area, knows everyone involved in the club. So I don't know what Don's like in terms of coaching capacity, but certainly his playing career speaks for itself, and I'm sure he'll pass on a lot of knowledge. From people I speak to, he's very keen to get into that side of the game. So I'm sure he'll do really well. I think people always look for that little bounce when they get an interim manager or a new manager, etc. And I don't think that'll be any different. But in saying that, they've got three tough games coming up, so it'll be very important that he gets his own ideas across very quickly, because they need to start picking up points.
Don Cowie, an interim charge, but who would you like to see take the role on a permanent position? Who would you like to be the next Ross County manager?
It's not something I've thought about, to be honest. I think Roy, over the years, he sometimes pulled a name out of nowhere, but then at the same time, he has gone back for Derek a couple of times, and so I don't know. I think people were surprised at the Malky Mackay appointment at the time, but that proved to be, successful to a point, and obviously he was moved on. But I'm not sure there's a lot of good managers out the game, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I think Don will probably want to put his name in the hat for sure, and probably depending on how it goes, we'll see there.
Would you be comfortable with that? Someone like Don on an interim basis, seeing out the rest of the season, trying to keep Ross County in the league, or do you think they go down the Aberdeen route, trying to get an experienced manager in the short term, or look for something completely different? Which direction would you like to see Ross County go down?
I think Don deserves a chance as much as anyone. I think, like I say, he's probably young and hungry, and he'll want to do well, because he's got a special place for the club in his heart. So there's that extra pressure he'll put on himself to do well and drive to succeed. So I don't think it would be a bad thing, but only time will tell. But I think they went down the route with Stuart Kettlewell, putting him into that role, and again that worked for a period of time as well. And everyone deserves a chance. Young managers coming into the game, they deserve an opportunity, and like I say, Don will be no different. But like I say, there is other experienced managers out there that will probably be looking to get back into the game. Maybe Barry Robson's one, I don't know. But I think there's a number of managers who will fancy that job, because it's a great club, and we've got a good chairman there who will back you for sure. And it's all right, they're sitting second bottom, but like I say, it's a very good job to go for.
Yeah, sitting second bottom, and results have been poor as of late, but are you still confident that this Ross County side can beat the drop?
It's hard to tell, to be honest. It's not been a great season. Big turnover of players in January again, so it is very difficult to see where how it will pan out. Obviously, don't want them to go down, but when you look at it, they're not far away. As long as they stay in touch, as we all know, when it gets to the split, anything can happen, and I'm sure the chairman and everyone in the club will be desperate not to get dragged into that playoff again. So like I say, the next couple of games are very difficult, but it's important that they stay in touch with the teams just above them, so that they're not cast adrift with Livingston at the bottom, and give themselves every chance to survive.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for your time and for joining us on PLZ Soccer, and of course all the best for the rest of the season in your manager role at Banks of Dee.
Thanks very much, cheers.
And remember, if you would like to stay right up to date with everything going on all across Scottish football and with Ross County's search for their next manager, make sure to follow PLZ Soccer across all of our social media platforms.